Thank you for staying with us. This is Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. And here are the top stories. Wike military officer clash over alleged land grabbing as blows been exchanged, words exchanged. Now, Trump threats troops pound terror bases in key states. Motorists stranded as Oyo residents protest road extension. Protesters storm National Assembly demand Senate confirmation of NERC chairman nominee. Also, Trump's threat wreaking havoc on Nigerian stock markets. Economists lash out. Court stops PDP National Convention, issues fresh order to INEC. U.S. assisted rescue plan for Chibok girls aborted due to military leak, Akinyemi exposes. And court adjourns Yahaya Bello's money laundering trial. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. There was a heated confrontation today between the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, and an unidentified military officer over an alleged land grabbing incident at the Gaduwa district in Abuja. There was a video of the altercation which was obtained by correspondents at the scene, which actually showed Wike accusing the officer of illegally taking possession of a parcel of land. The visibly angry minister questioned why the military was laying claim to the property because simply it was linked to a former chief of naval staff. Also, Wike actually asked, because you're an officer, nobody does that. Visibly angry, Wike pushed back. The officer, dressed in military camouflage, interrupted the minister, insisting that the acquisition was indeed lawful and that he had acted with integrity. Wike, angered by the interruption, ordered the officer to be quiet. The officer disclosed, "I will not shut up." The exchange escalated as Wike retorted. I would play the altercation for you to listen. Some unprintable words were used.
Sorry, sir. I'm sorry. Show me the document you have. You have no document. Bring the document.
I have documents and everything has been meeting.
That's me. I'm the minister. You cannot tell me. You cannot tell me that. We cannot continue to add in this impurity. Where the approval even to people. You cannot continue this way. This country cannot continue along this line. How can that man at his level, even if he has a problem, he cannot reach me and say, look, I'm sorry. See what I have. You will send soldiers to intimidate who? We are all from this country. And this is complete. You cannot be higher than anyone.
Sorry.
You know this thing now. That is the problem. He cannot give order against government.
Because the papers are complete and he said it's submitted.
Are you the one? Listen, you know the police one. Are you the one that will say paper? What will show me that you are, first of all, show me that government gave you this place. Two, show me that you have an approval to build what you are building. It has nothing to do with, I'm a vice admiral, I'm a lieutenant general. That is not it. We must work according to law. We must work according to law. So you?
No, you don't tell like this. Don't tell like this. Don't you try this. Don't tell me like that. Don't tell me like that. Don't tell me this. Keep quiet. Don't tell me I'm lying. I'm lying. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? I said I forward. I am a small boy, but the condition I'm finding is very
You cannot say
Just come and prevent
stop this here. Stop this from
How do I face him? How do I face him? This is not professional. This is not professional. Please. You have to face the minister of this thing. It's okay.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
That's
matter.
order matters. I'm an officer, take to orders.
So what? You had a who? Than me.
So I'm an officer, take to orders.
To order that you take illegal order.
Mr. General.
Okay.
You can't say no. That means
You can never develop this property. I will not allow it.
No problem, sir.
You
I'm
will not-
only acting on my
if
orders.
you want to
as
kill
an
everybody,
officer.
kill everybody.
We will not kill
You
anybody,
cannot.
sir. We will not. We will not kill anybody, sir.
You put yourself in trouble.
We will not. We will not.
My
friend, you see, that is that. You cannot shut me up. No, you cannot shut me up. You are my junior. You cannot even talk when I'm talking. Because
I have to reach you.
you're only that way. I'll be talking and policemen will be talking.
Hey, you are taking with us. You don't have very good.
I'm not to carry security to intimidate. Because you're an officer. Nobody does that.
We did not carry anybody.
The man took this. I will not allow because he was chief of numbers. And then for you to carry that.
Sir, everything was acquired legally.
Will you
and
stop
so you
that?
get the.
Will you stop
Sir,
that?
I'm an officer. I have integrity.
Shut up, your mouth. Put
Sir, I
yourself.
will not shut up.
Will you get out?
Sir, I won't shut up. Sir, I'm a
I
professional
was in
officer.
school. You're not in school.
Sir, you can't shut
Will
me
you
up.
keep quiet?
You can't
Get
shut
a
me
big
up, sir.
fool.
I'm not a
You are a
fool.
big fool.
I'm not a
You
fool,
think you
sir.
can shoot anybody like that?
Sir, I'm not
You
a
are a big
fool.
fool. Who are you?
I am not a fool, sir.
As at the time I
Don't call me a
graduated,
fool.
you were in primary school.
I'm acting on orders.
Take for
You
which
can't
order?
call me a fool.
And this, you will see whether you will not live here.
Sir, you can't call me a fool.
Go and develop your-
I'm
go
an
and
officer.
develop
I'm not a fool, sir.
Okay,
I'm an
with
officer.
your so corrupt. To intimidate who? We are all from this country. And this is government. You cannot be higher than any government. You cannot be carrying gun to intimidate people to not to do their work. Let me tell you, if not government, you was first staff who spoke to me here. You could have killed everybody here. No problem. I'm not one of those that they can intimidate.
On the contrary,
I'm doing my job.
sir, we are not intimidating anybody.
That's what you're doing.
The civilian, the engineer mobilized to site, and then staff or workers of FCT.
Right, that was the FCT Minister right there, the soldier who refused to back down despite the altercation separation. DSS officials accompanied the FCT Minister along with his own private security escort, but there were also other naval officers at the land that was under dispute, and those officers said they would not allow Nyesom Wike, the FCT Minister, entrance into the land, saying that he has no right to gain access. That was where the altercation reneged. As of the time this report was being filed, neither the military nor the Federal Capital Territory Administration is yet to issue any official statement on the incident. The said naval officer stood on his right that he was given an an order, and regardless of who or where or the position Wike occupies, he says he is sticking to the order given to him. Land disputes and illegal allocations have been a recurring problem in Abuja, also including the FCTA Minister, including the situation of demolitions, and efforts have intensified to curb unauthorized land acquisition, illegal property development, encroachment on government designated areas. Since assuming office in August 2023, Wike has ordered several demolitions of what he described as illegal structures, vowing to restore the Abuja master plan. Efforts to reach the office of the FCT Minister has proved abortive, and the Nigerian Naval Office is yet to respond to any mails, correspondence, or questions from journalists. Meanwhile, the Nigerian military has intensified land and air operations in parts of the north following a threat by United States President Mr. Donald Trump to consider deploying American forces to Nigeria over alleged killings of Christians. In a recent post on his Truth social platform, Trump said he directed the U.S. Department of War to prepare for possible action if the alleged persecution continues. He also warned that the U.S. could suspend all aid to Nigeria if the Tinubu administration failed to act. He wrote, and I quote, "If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killings of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and very well go into that now disgraced country, guns are blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities." Meanwhile, rival terrorist factions have engaged in violent clashes in the northern region. More than 50 fighters were reportedly killed in a confrontation between Boko Haram, Jamaat al-Sunnah Idi Dawal Jihad, and the Islamic State of West Africa Province over territorial control in Abadam local government area of Borno State. The clash occurred on Sunday evening in Tombum, Guinea, an island community, after ISWAP launched an offensive to reclaim the area recently seized by Boko Haram. Video showed bloodied bodies floating in a canoe with fighters chanting Allahu Akbar, suggesting that Boko Haram repelled the ISWAP attackers. Meanwhile, in Oyo State, motorists were stranded today on Monday when thousands of the affected residents of the Ibadan Circular Road Corridor project took to the streets of the state capital to stage a peaceful protest. The protesters carrying placards, banners, and posters arrived at the end of the Ibadan Ife Road, whereby at around 10 a.m., which caused a traffic gridlock in the area. The protesters blocked other major roads as well, sending a signal to the Oyo State government to drive home their intentions, while some were gathering at the state secretariat. They later marched on through Idiakwe to join their counterparts at the State Secretariat Agodi Ibadan, where the protest peaked. Correspondents observed that the arrival of the protesters led to a temporary shutdown of the Secretariat as the protesters were denied access, while visitors and those who had business interests suffered delays till the protest ended. Also speaking, the group coordinator Adeni Fashoyi said the protest was not political and that no politician was teleguiding or sponsoring them against Governor Sheyi Makinde. Also, today, some protesters stormed the National Assembly, urging the Senate to expedite the confirmation of President Bola Tinubu's nominee for chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, Abdullahi Ramat. The protesters, made up of Ramat supporters, civil society organizations, and human rights activists, paraded around the parliamentary complex, chanting solidarity songs, holding placards with various inscriptions such as "President Tinubu did not send nominees to be harassed," and "Ramat represents reform in the power sector." Their protest came in response to last month's Senate decision to hold Ramat's confirmation even after he had been successfully screened by the Senate Committee on Power led by Senator Yahaya Bello. Now, financial experts and economists have explained why the United States of America's President Donald Trump's designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern and threat to take military action on the country have caused a ripple of negative effects in Nigeria's economy in the last 10 days. This comes as the Nigerian Exchange Limited and the Naira have experienced a downturn since last week. Well, the NGX further continued its bearish trend on Monday after losing 2.8 trillion Naira last week. Now, the bloodbath concerning the Naira also recorded losses across official and black markets on Monday to close at 1,437 Naira to a dollar. Financial experts disclosed that this is directly linked to shaking investor confidence following Trump's remark. Now, the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the People's Democratic Party to stop its planned national convention until the substantive suit filed by former Governor Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, is determined. The order was given on Tuesday in a suit by Lamido challenging his inability to get the PDP nomination form to contest for the national chairmanship position despite paying the form. The court further ruled that the Independent National Electoral Commission should not participate in any activities relating to the convention in Ibadan or anywhere in Nigeria. You would be recalled that Lamido had dragged the PDP before the Federal High Court in Abuja, seeking an order to hold its forthcoming national convention scheduled for November 15 and 16 in Ibadan, Oyo State. Now, the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, has revealed that a planned U.S.-assisted operation to rescue the Chibok schoolgirls in 2014 was called out due to suspected leaks within the military. Speaking on a recent interview via Monitor television program, Akinyemi explained how the operation, initiated by Jonathan's administration, was a joint effort between American forces and Nigerian troops. According to Akinyemi, the plan was to rescue the abducted girls after Boko Haram militants had taken them from their school in Chibok in Borno State on April 14, 2014. Akinyemi noted that the Americans decided to pull out of the operation as they were unwilling to risk their troops' safety under such compromised circumstances. The incident, according to Akinyemi, highlighted the need for a thorough cleansing of the Nigerian military, calling for the identification and removal of individuals within the armed forces who may have sympathies with Boko Haram or other militant groups like the Islamic State of West African Province, ISWAP. Now, the money laundering trial of former Kebbi State Governor Yahaya Bello was on Tuesday, being today adjourned to January 29, 30, February 4 and 5, 2026, following a fresh dispute between the prosecution and the defense team over documentary evidence presented in court. Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court, Abuja, shifted proceedings to allow the prosecution led by Kemi Pinheiro to conclude the examination of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission's seventh witness, Olomotame Igoro, who was a compliance officer with Access Bank. At the resumed hearing, Pinheiro sought to tender documents labeled Exhibits 33, 1 to 11 and 34 while leading Agoro in evidence, but the defense immediately objected. Bello's counsel, Abdullahi Yahaya, argued that the exhibit being demonstrated was not known to the defendant, insisting that the attached certificate of identification was irregular. You're currently listening to the World News right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we're heading to a news analysis segment. I'll be joined via the telephone with Mr. Elvis Elimehele, who is a journalist of over 3 decades, a political and national affairs commentator. Mr. Elvis Elimehele will be giving us his insights into some of the stories read out on the World News at 6. To kindly stay with us.
Hello?
Good evening, Mr.
Hello?
Elvis. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the World News at 6, sir.
Good evening. It's my pleasure.
All right, Mr. Elvis, so a lot is actually going on in Nigeria at this moment. Let's start off with the imbroglio between Nyesom Wike, the FCT Minister, and some military personnel or naval officers today. A couple of Nigerians have actually wondered that Nyesom Wike would actually ask what kind of impunity is this. There have been talks that Nyesom Wike acts with impunity, does what he wants to do because of the close relationship he has with the president. A lot of lands which have been alleged that he personally took for himself and his cronies. Obviously, you saw that Sahara Reporters released some evidence of some of the lands being ascribed to that of his children, that's his sons. And that's not the only thing. To even the University of Abuja as well, some of the lands were taken from them. Some duplexes and plaza, even some political offices, just because they haven't paid their ground rent. Those areas have been seized, and in some instances, they've been asked not to have access to those lands. Unfortunately, today, the FCT Minister went to one of the lands, which is owned by a former naval officer, and the naval officer has stationed some naval personnel there to prevent Wike and his escorts from having access. It almost turned into a gunshot battle because the DSS operatives and security operatives with Wike clashed with the naval officers who refused to back down despite Wike's rank. Okay, and they got an altercation where the minister called him all sorts of derogatory names, and he kept responding by saying that I was given an order and I must maintain this order given to me. What's your reaction to this, Mr. Elvis?
Extra, that altercation is very, very shameful. It further portray what we are in this part of the world. People are talking about Donald Trump using the word disgrace for Nigeria. What we saw there today is another disgraceful situation. For a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria using such garrulous and very careless word on an officer of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it's not called. It's very shameful and occult situation. We've seen how Americans respect their military personnel anywhere they are in the world, even within the American soil. Anytime any of them is boarding an aircraft in America, everybody will stand up and allow them to board the aircraft before other citizens before we start boarding. Here in Nigeria, because of the way the political atmosphere, the executive rascality has cleared the head of Nigerian ministers and Nigerian political officers. They see everybody as non-entity. This was exactly the same thing. The man, one of the same ministers of this president administration, was abusing himself the last time on the national television, calling him names. That is exactly what we saw again today in Wike. This must come to an end. This must stop. The Nigerians must be able to regulate their ministers, because these people are supposed to be working for us, not we serving them. Using such words on an officer, I mean, it's so shameful. I was so disappointed. For even as to have risen to that level of a ministerial level, 2-time governor, this is the second time you have been a minister. Therefore, words you should use in the public, you should not use in the public to address such situations. This thing can be settled at a higher level. The person that the officer that owns that land, his name is there. You can reach him. You simply go and talk to him, because this boy, this young officer was sent to that duty to do his job there. And he kept telling you, I'm working on my last order. I'm an officer. I'm a credible person. Here we were using languages, those kind of languages that people are in the motor park. This is wicked out. It's a motor park. If he doesn't really realize that he's supposed to be a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, if he cannot respect himself, he should respect that office. We're not talking of him as weak as a person. Probably he doesn't know how to respect himself. But you should respect that office of the Federal Minister of Federal Capital Territory, because that office does not belong to him. It belongs to Nigeria, Esther.
Mr. Elvis, I actually understand what you're saying, but there are some factors that Wike reeled out. He says, for example, that proceedings ought to be followed, the law ought to be followed, regardless of the position of the naval officer being retired. He is doing his job. He actually disclosed as well. Mr. Elvis, can you hear me? Okay. The minister also disclosed that one of the issues that he had, all right, in respect to the naval officer was that there is a court process, and that why was the naval officer not going by the law or focusing on what the law had indicated? So Wike is complaining that this military personnel, just because of his rank, refuses to obey court order, and that we're not in a lawless country. Now, Nigerians, ever since this video circulated, which they consider to be quite embarrassing, said that at what point in time has Wike ever considered himself to go through the legal route in doing things? Is it because he couldn't influence this particular case where he would have an upper hand? Now, they have not responded. Either the naval office, the naval base, any of the spokespersons have not said anything. Wike's office is yet to release any statement in regards to the altercation that was had today. Also, is it possible that the naval officer who confronted him, who responded to him and refused to back down based on Wike saying he had the right to access that land for whatever reason that he came there for, do you think he would lose his rank? Do you think he would lose his job because the man refused to back down?
Esther, if there is anybody to be held responsible for what happened today, to be Wike and the officer that owned that land. That young officer was only sent on his duty. It's just like an officer to a house to go and guide it. That officer that is at the gate will not allow anything to happen to the officer that he has been sent from his office to on his duty post. That man was just on his duty post. Nobody should embarrass them. There is a level of decorum which is expected to maintain. At least a senior naval officer of that caliber, Wike should be able to reach him at that ministerial level too, and be able to talk one-on-one with one of that property. Not the young man, not the young officer that he was abusing as if it's his own house head today. That must be condemned, because we cannot allow politicians to be writing on us in all the institutions of this nation. This is an armed forces of this nation. Nigeria now Navy is one of the armed forces of this nation. We cannot allow politicians to take over all the institutions of this nation and begin to write us.
Okay, I agreed, Mr. Elvis, what you said, but a couple of persons, just like you said this situation is very embarrassing. But if you notice, before the FCT Minister got there, it's like whoever was in charge of the land had already conscripted some naval officers at that particular location. So while Wike was coming with his people, those guys were stationed there and they did not move. What if something had escalated or devolved to the point where gunshots were exchanged? What would have been the excuse? Because it was a very heated argument. Even some of the security operatives that accompanied Wike and the naval officers, they had a clash. They pushed themselves. They got into a physical brawl. The FCT Minister was in the middle of all that ruckus. Even those that were meant to protect him couldn't. The military officer, the naval officer there who was in front of him, was literally talking down on him and saying, you can't do anything to me. So at what point did we get to this situation where things are done in a very classless manner? There's crass, there's no protocol, there's no sense of etiquette in how things are done when it comes to administrations that is considered to be civic.
If it has degenerated beyond that level today, we should have been held responsible, because an officer or a senior government officer like Wike knows what to do. The military officer, the senior military officer that owns that property, Wike knows his name. He knows how to locate him. He knows how to summon him to his office. Wike ought to have maintained a better decorum, because he is of a senior caliber. He's of a senior personnel in this administration. If this administration must be respected, every person that is working with this administration must respect themselves as well. They must respect themselves first. We must not be made laughing stock before the Committee of Nations. Look at what Nigeria is going through now diplomatically. That is, it takes America to remind us that we have insecurity in this nation and Nigerians are being massacred. Is that not a shame on this administration? Is that not a shame on the government that Wike is arrogantly briefing the press every day and be using different languages whenever he's briefing the press? So whatever is anything that occasion was generated beyond this level today, Wike should have been the person that should.
But Mr. Elvis, what if Wike was actually on the right path in this whole thing? Maybe the naval officer is one who is high up.
Esther, let me remind you, two wrongs cannot make it right. By the time he got here and he saw that This officer said, I am on duty. And I will respect the last order, sir. I will respect the last order, sir. So kept hearing that the man was saying yes, sir. Not when he was saying you are a fool and all that. Yeah. Such now I don't want to use of it. The man was saying yes, sir. He said I'm an officer and I'm a credible person. He was really over. At that level, we ought to have retreated with his team and said, okay, I know the officer that owns this property. Let my office write in and get him down to my office to come and explain what happened today on my registration to his property. That can be sorted at that level. Not wicked, generating himself to that level of abusing an officer of Nigeria armed forces at that level and pulling him in. It is not good. It's not right. We can also have respected himself. When he got here, he found that okay, this property is already being guided by this police of trouble. He will do the thing. That is not me. I mean, it's afraid of his job. That shows protocol. That shows respect for the office that is supplying. The office of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. That shows the Hollywood respect. There are ways to iron out this matter at a higher level. Beyond that level, he was, ranting before a young officer today who is almost like the age mate of his son. What did he benefit? Telling him at the time who cares? That young man was sent on a duty and he was doing his job. We can have personnel. We have military personnel and all.
Mr. Elvis, let me ask you this: between Wike now and the alleged landowner, who is a senior naval officer, who has a higher rank in terms of authority? Even if what's his name, the junior naval officer, was given an order by a naval officer who I don't think is currently in government. Okay, it's not currently in government, but in terms of status and in terms of order, who do you think has the upper hand here?
Even if he's no longer in government, they have found this nation. That's number one. Number two, the young man that was there, because the constitution and the military act recognize that senior officer is entitled to such protection. That's why he had that access. That's why he had that opportunity to have been able to send those young officers there to go and guide his property. So even if we can be guided as a more senior person on the state level. But I don't know the organogram between the military and the civilian when it comes to federal parastatal or whatever. I don't know how to relate that. But in any case, Esther, the senior officer that owns that property can be regarded as an elder statesman because he has served this nation and he has retired. We should have been able to at least at that level respect that senior officer. What happened here today is just like an argument said the witness after the state. Meanwhile, the person that holds his name, the state does not know the person.
All right. Okay, Mr. Elvis, you seem to be cracking. I'm going to call you back so that I can hear you properly. The next question that I would like Mr. Elvis to respond to is concerning the fact that financial experts and economists are explaining that there was a crash today because of the United States of America's designation of Nigeria a country of particular concern, which obviously gave it caused a ripple of negative effects in Nigeria's economy. That also has caused one of the confusion with investors. Now, a couple of them believe that for the past 10 days, there's been a decline, a ripple effect of uncertainty within the stock market. The Nigerian Exchange Limited and the Naira actually experienced a downturn since last week when Trump made the broadcast he made on his podium, and almost all the media, all the international media, both China, Germany, Beijing, all of them have used their language to interpret and literally sent a message that Nigeria is considered a country of particular concern. Now, investors, all right, potential investors and investors already who are on ground at the moment, the stock exchange said they experienced a decline, because of that. What do you think this means in the next couple of days or in the next month, knowing that we're getting towards the end of the year?
It's going to be worse because the message that came from Donald Trump has not even been executed. He has only issued statement and look at what is happening. This is to tell you that it is not to protect the world and be calling on the world wasting our hard-earned foreign exchange to travel around the world on the name of we want to attract foreign direct investors into this nation. Fix your nation. Let them fix Nigeria. The foreign the direct investors will definitely come down to Nigeria when they know that when they get into Nigeria, their investment is safe. All the money that this president has used in signing around the whole world for the past 2 years plus he came into power now, and the level we are now, is it not wasted? Look at the stock is plunging because the investors are already afraid that something may happen in Nigeria. If Nigeria is fixed, the investors will definitely find their way to a place where they think that their investment is safe and they will have a better return on investment on their investment. It is not just to come and start telling Nigerians that, I'm traveling around the world because I want to bring in foreign direct investors. Have you not said now? It has said because we refuse to do the primary thing, that is giving Nigerians adequate security within our country before you can come and say, come and look at my home. Extra, if you are coming to visit me, I will make sure I clean my home so that when you are coming, so this home is me. Then you can that's when you will decide whether you pass the night with me or not. Not this one that we have not done anything, all we are interested in because we want to earn the money, we want to gallop around the world and tell the world we are working, we are not bringing in, we're calling on investors. It has not put Iran, it has Iran, we're asking the opposite of what they are telling us.
All right, Mr. Elvis Alimehele, thank you so much for giving us your time on the World News at 6. I'd love to ask you more questions, but we have all the programs coming up and a line of a couple of adverts to play after this. However, I sincerely do appreciate you giving us your time in having to react to these issues.
It's my pleasure. Esther, have a nice day.
Thank you very much, sir. Good evening to you. Meanwhile, in stories outside the shores of Nigeria, a suicide attack outside a court in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad, has killed 12 people, injured at least 27 others. This was disclosed by the country's Interior Minister, Mushin Navgi, who disclosed that a bomber was planning to attack the district courthouse but was unable to get inside. Navgi said authorities would prioritize identifying the bomber and that those involved will be brought to justice. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has alleged that extremist groups actively backed by India were involved. A spokesperson for the Indian government denied what they described as baseless and unfounded allegations. In a statement, Sharif said that terrorist attacks on unarmed citizens of Pakistan by India's terrorist praxis are condemnable. Jamaat al-Awra, a splinter group of the Pakistani Taliban, has claimed responsibility, but 2 local journalists disclosed to the BBC that the TTP central leadership has sent messages to them saying it has no link to the explosion. Suicide blasts in Islamabad have been rare in recent years. Footage from the scene on Tuesday showed the remains of a burnt-out car and a police cordon in place. 27 people injured are currently receiving medical treatment. Also, the attacker detonated the bomb close to a police car after waiting for up to 15 minutes. Footage of the aftermath showed plumes of smoke rising from a charred vehicle behind a security barrier. And that's a wrap on the World News at 6. My name is Esther Wachiku. Good evening and thank you for listening. Up next is the Evening Rush at 7 o'clock. To kindly stay with us.